Hey tribe, my guest today is getting a texture release. She's a model and she wanted to change up her look. She wanted to go shorter, but she also wanted to manage her curls and still be able to wear her hair curly. So, first things first, we always wash and detangle the hair. The treatment doesn't really allow for a lot of detangling, so we tend to do a lot of it before. So that's what we did here. That's what I did here. And once I detangled and make sure that there was no knots, I then divided it into 4 and air dried it. Then I followed up by applying the hair dilator. Now the hair dilator is like a primer. It's the first step to getting the texture release going. So I do each section. I do air dry it into the hair, and then we follow on by putting a cap on, and this just helps make sure that everything goes into the hair well, so that the treatment works. And then once that's taken out, we then put the releasing lotion throughout the hair. Now I like to douse it up a little bit just to make sure that it's all going in. And once I do that, I also divide it into sections, twist it up, pack it in, and again it will go into a cap to emulsify for about 30 minutes. Now I get a lot of questions about what is a texture release. Is it a relaxer? It is not a relaxer. It is an amino acids treatment that releases your curls, and with every wash it rinses out. So depending on your hair, this can be 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I tend to let people know, depending on their curl pattern, roughly what that's going to look like in the consultation. Some people, like my client here, probably will not need to do it more than once a year. So once a year to twice a year for looser curls. If you have kinkier curls, you might want to do it 3 times a year, maybe 4 times a year if you're feeling a bit snazzy. Back to the treatment. So now I am, after rinsing out the releasing lotion, we blow dry. I'm using my Dyson and my Demon brush, and I'm just stretching the hair gently, making sure that the roots are straight, because that is where the party's at. If the roots are not straight, you're not going to get good press, okay? If the roots are not straight, you're not going to get good press. And again, I'm using my Coriolis Prima Pro 3100 straighteners, and I go over the hair maybe once or twice. Now the treatment does require for you to go over the hair between 3 to 7 times, depending on what hair you're dealing with. One thing I want to tell you is different parts of your hair are going to need different passes. So if I'm dealing with the perimeter of the hair, I never go over that more than once, twice maximum, and that's at a lower heat the second time, because those are the parts that are going to have heat damage very quickly. And this is advice that I give to my clients all the time. So you want to make sure that you don't go over different parts of your hair at certain heat. Like, you need to just get to know your hair. I have a bird's eye view, so generally I tell clients for the aftercare to use a certain amount of heat that works for the whole head. But when I'm doing it, I kind of change the heat depending on where I am. The center, the crown of the hair, I crank up the heat a little bit and go over it a little bit more. Again, back to the hair. So I am doing a bob, and if I'm doing a bob, and she had fine hair, but the density was much. So I had to make sure that every part of her hair was done correctly. She wanted quite a short style, so we opted to go a little bit longer first so she can see how she handled it, and she could also enjoy her hair at different stages. And then once I finished making sure that this bob was going to look cute in every angle, and we spent, I want to say, about 30 minutes cutting this hair and styling it. We were having a blast. She was the last client. You can see my colleagues popping in and out, and I wish you could hear the conversation instead of this voiceover. But she really, really enjoyed her time. She was going to Australia for a little holiday with a new look, so we wanted to make sure that she impressed everyone back home. So I'm going over this. This is my finishing touch. So when I do the finishing touches, I tend to drop the heat a little bit. What you're seeing, the little steam that you're seeing, that's the heat protectant working. When you do spray the heat protectant from the texture release, it does fume. So that's just Fun fact. Every so often I get the sweetest client, and she was just such a breeze to work with. She was very specific about her look, but also open to how that would work for her and her lifestyle. So I went with what she was sure about. I just explained what that meant, and in the end she was happy to try a little longer and then the next time go for a bigger chop. So this is me finishing off her hair, and look at that shine. If you have a texture release and it doesn't have this shine, I'm really sorry, but you're missing out. Because she has fine hair, and because the texture release you can't really add any products apart from the products for the treatment. Sometimes your hair does go a little bit static. This is me basically showing her that she could wear her hair both in the middle, and in other ways. When I cut a style, I like for my clients to have flexibility, so that's what I was showing her here. And you'll see in the next clip that she actually wore it in a different way to go home. So this is what it looked like when she actually went home. I gave it a little bit more bounce and she was super happy. I hope you've enjoyed my voiceover and this video, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.